Placentia Bay, located on the southeast coast of Newfoundland and Labrador, covers an area of approximately 6,600 square kilometers. It has over 1,750 kilometers of coastline from Point May to Point Lance, including the shores of the 365 islands that exist inside the boundaries of Placentia Bay. The approximately 60 communities situated along the coast contain the homes and supply the livelihoods for about 25,000 people. So far, Placentia Bay sounds like any rural coastal region in Newfoundland and Labrador, or any rural coastal region across Canada. But it has some unique attributes that set it apart from many of the other bays in the province. With a water channel that reaches depths of 240 meters and a water surface that is ice-free year-round, Placentia Bay has attracted many new activities over the past 40 years. While the fishery is still a mainstay of the area economy, the stakeholders that depend on the waters and surrounding coast of Placentia Bay have become extremely diverse. Today, the activities that happen in Placentia Bay include fish harvesting, fish processing, tourism ventures, aquaculture initiatives, mining activities, and oil and gas processing. Each of these groups has different concerns regarding how the waters of Placentia Bay are used. Topics such as environmental protection, navigation regulations, and maintaining the existing lifestyle have different value and meaning to the various industries and those that live in the area.
There is a great chance of an oil spill here in Placentia Bay with traffic increasing, tankers. And what happens to the fishermen in this area if we do have an oil spill? We're totally wiped out of our inshore fishery.
Placentia Bay, is a bay it's a fog bay. From June until August, we experience a lot of fog, and the distance that you can see, in fog is not very much, and there's always that threat on fishermen that there may be a collision between a tanker and a fishing vessel.
I think the biggest concern we got around here in the small places like this, the small communities around the bay, I think mostly it's the fear of dying. The communities are dying slowly. Out-migration, I suppose, would be a better word, because they base their livelihood mainly on the fishery. And right now, the fishery is next to nothing.
The Argent-Cherry Chamber of Commerce represents the business community in the Zone 18 region of Newfoundland and Labrador. There are a lot of issues with respect to different industries that are participating in the bay. If you look at the fishery, the tourism, we're hoping to have a new mining industry with mineral processing in this area, and of course oil and gas with Come By Chance and Whiff and Head and all that activity which is going up in the bay. All these things are happening at the same time, and that desire to make sure things are managed properly.
Some of the concerns that we have with the traffic increase in the bay, obviously the 3PS is the main source of our raw material. We're a groundfish operation here in Ernest. With the traffic increasing, we were concerned about what impact that would have on the cod fishery in particular. The 3PS area is the one area where the fishery seems to be recovering from the after the moratorium. So we're concerned, obviously, that fishery is maintained and that we have a good source of raw material from the South Coast fishery.
We're very pro-development. The more development of the oil industry, the fishing industry, and every other industry in Placentia Bay, the better it is for Newfoundland, the Newfoundland economy, the better it is for people like me in Placentia Bay. The more money goes around, the more there's going to be for me. We just want to make sure that our concerns are voiced as well as those of the real big players,
When an aquaculture company moves into an area first, they're concerned about a couple of things. One is would be a social contract with the communities they'd be working in, and the second would be the actual physical parameters in the ocean that they would need for growing the fish. They're looking to talk to fishermen's committees, tourism committees, to make sure that the business won't be interfering with any of the already existing businesses in the area.
The stakeholder groups already mentioned rarely moved in the same circles, so the opportunity to address individual concerns was not available. When you add all of the layers of government that are involved in the jurisdiction of Placentia Bay, it was easy to see there needed to be some form of initiative that allowed all of these groups to communicate. There needed to be a structure created that offered an avenue for all the groups to first share information and concerns, and second, to try to find satisfactory solutions to these matters. In 1997, the Government of Canada, through its Oceans Act, initiated the concept of integrated management planning for coastal marine waters. Integrated management planning has become one of the main focus points of Canada's Oceans Action Plan. Driven by the communities, facilitated by Fisheries and Oceans Canada and the Government of Newfoundland and Labrador, a plan was spawned to address the issues and concerns of area stakeholders by forming the Placentia Bay Integrated Management Planning Committee in 2005.
In the early 1990s, a report came out called the Briner-Smith Report and identified Placentia Bay being at highest risk for an oil-related environmental accident in Canada. Further to that, in 1997, the Terre-Neuve report came out, in which we made a recommendation that the Government of Newfoundland and Labrador establish a coastal zone management plan for the west side of Placentia Bay and the Avalon Peninsula. Since that time, the Government of Newfoundland and Labrador has accepted that recommendation, and Department of Fisheries and Oceans has recognized the sensitivity of Placentia Bay and stated that we want to work with the province towards any initiatives on integrated management in that area.
The Government of Newfoundland and Labrador has been involved in the Placentia Bay integrated management planning process since the beginning, through the Department of Environment and Conservation and through the Department of Fisheries and Aquaculture. The Department of Environment and Conservation is particularly interested in environmental issues such as oil spills, invasive species, and in the longer term, climate change. The Department of Fisheries and Aquaculture has been charged with developing a provincial oceans policy framework as well as an ocean strategic plan, and we'll be doing that with the cooperation and participation of groups like the Placentia Bay Integrated Management Planning Committee.
Well, the people in the area certainly thought there was a need for an integrated management plan because of the multitude of different aspects around Placentia Bay. It's a very busy bay. It's probably the busiest waterways east of Montreal. You got the oil transshipment facility there at Whiffin Head. You got the Combogent refinery. You got about 400 small boat fishermen. You got the bird sanctuary there at Cape St. Mary's, and certainly you have also got the geography. You got about 365 islands and visibility of less than an 8 kilometre on average 187 days of the year. So throughout the bay we're generally well informed that there's something special here we're protecting and interested in getting involved.
In 2003-2004, we hired a local contractor from Placentia Bay who did a community survey throughout the entirety of Placentia Bay, extending from Point Lance to Point May. And he interviewed people, whether they be from communities or they be from academia, government, local organizations, what have you. And the basic questions that he asked were, do you know of what integrated management is? Do you think it's something that could work for you? And what are your actual issues and concerns, not only on a bay-wide scale, but to you and your local scale? From that community survey, we gleaned that there was a need for integrated management planning within Placentia Bay, and there was a need for an actual committee to be formed to help deal with some of the issues and concerns that Placentia Bay now faces. The members on the committee were selected primarily by their peers. We didn't want to be seen as two government agencies going out and pinpointing people to be on the committee. So following the community survey report that we had done, we invited everybody who participated in those surveys to a one-day workshop in Arnold's Cove. And we asked them two questions. The first question was, who do you see sitting on an integrated management planning committee with you? And second question was, who would best represent you on that committee? So if you were a fish harvester, who would be your best representative sitting there on that committee? So from that particular exercise, a number of people were nominated, and we had a number of bilateral consultations and meetings with these people to kind of garner their interest to see whether or not they would like to be involved in this process.
Before the Integrated Management Committee got in place, we never really had the chance to sit down with all groups that's in the bay involved, like Coast Guard and the oil groups, fishermen, tourism, aquaculture. All those people are sitting on one committee now, and harbour authorities, and we're all getting our issues across, and everyone is listening and everyone is being heard.
I was quite excited when I heard about the Integrated Management Planning Initiative because, of course, going in as an industry into the bay, we would have to do an environmental assessment for our facility, and that's very much a public process, and we very much want the public and all the stakeholders in the bay to be aware of what we're doing. And we could see this as advantageous from both sides, because we could certainly get feedback from people as to what their concerns and issues are. And at the same time, we'd like to think that by getting to know us in that forum, that people would feel comfortable in asking any questions or having me to address any concerns they may have about our industry.
Tourism is becoming a bigger player, but compared to some of the oil industries, for instance, we're still not a major player, and it's nice to know that somebody is speaking up for us and somebody will get our concerns across to the people who make decisions and can make changes if need be.
Well, I think it's important to have municipal government at the table to more or less to maintain our existence as a municipality, you know, and especially with the downturn in the fishery. So by being at the table, we can voice our concerns to the Integrated Management Committee, and hopefully will fall on the right people, you know, to hear our problems and our concerns within the communities.
The Integrated Management Plan for Placentia Bay is still evolving, but there have been some positive steps made already.
Well, one of the positive things that we've already seen, you know, that's coming out of the integrated management is where fisheries people are being trained to clean up oil spills. And I mean, this training right now, some training has already been done. There's more ongoing this fall and in the winter to come. So I mean, this is just one of the things that is being talked about and being acted upon. And you know, I think we're heading in the right direction.
The stakeholders involved in the integrated management planning process for Placentia Bay are very knowledgeable about the high-risk incidents of a spill in that area. So it was a natural and a given that One Ocean would come in to this process with their training of fisheries workers in oil spill countermeasures. Fisheries workers have an inherent knowledge of the water. They're a natural choice for this type of training. It's community-based. They would be the first responders. They have, you know, it's their community, it's their livelihood, and they have, you know, knowledge that we would never have about tides, wave, biophysical and physical components of the ocean. So it's a very important criteria for oil spill response people.
Well, I think it truly is an information sharing process that we are all enjoying the most from this. It's not to be underestimated, the value of that. Just being able to hear the point of view of the FFAW as they consider, you know, the impacts of whatever regulation changes DFO may bring in. Hearing from the harbour authorities or hearing from the municipalities and their interest in this project. One particular thing that we are really keen on is the Smart Bay project, which is happening now through the cooperation of various partners to provide a safer environment, you know, for shipping in the bay, and that can only be a positive for business in terms of safety and efficiency.
Well, I guess in a nutshell, Smart Bay is about better information, better decisions for all the users and people working or living in Placentia Bay. A primary part of the project is the deployment of one oceanographic buoy and 2 water quality buoys. The oceanographic buoy will be deployed right at the mouth of Placentia Bay, and the 2 water quality buoys will be deployed, one at Mettre Bay area and the other one near Arnold's Cove. The intention from these buoys is to get back information which will assist us in developing better weather forecasting within Placentia Bay area. We'll be providing customized forecasting for the Bay General as well. We'll also be doing site-specific forecasting for the Mettre Bay area, for the mouth of Placentia Bay, as well as for the pilot pickup station, the area of the Red Island Shoal. I think what's really unique about Smart Bay is that very much like integrated management, Smart Bay has provided the community an opportunity to have some say into exactly how that tool should be built. So we've sought input from the community right from the beginning in defining how Smart Bay should be laid out and what types of information, you know, are required. And we've spoken to everybody, you know, from fishermen to marina-based people, to the Canadian Coast Guard, to oil spill response people, and we've taken all that information and tried to put that together in order to put together Smart Bay, the tool, you know, better information, better decisions.
I have attended a couple of meetings with the Integrated Management Committee, and what I have found, I have listened. I haven't asked questions to the oil companies, but I have listened to what they have to say, and it made me feel a little bit more comfortable knowing that they do have a plan in place if a potential oil spill did happen. And that makes me feel more comfortable.
As an outside group able to make a presentation to the Integrated Management Committee, it gives us a one-stop shop in order to listen to the concerns of the area and to voice our concerns or needs in order to be able to establish a business in that area.
The members of the committee see one of their most important roles is to provide a unified voice for the users of Placentia Bay.
I don't think that the committee can solve the problems. I think we can highlight it to the powers that be that can deal with it, but I don't think that the committee can solve the problems. I think that our job, I think, is to highlight it and bring it forth and make sure that people will understand what the concerns are, and hopefully the powers that be will deal with it in the proper way.
You're going to go to government with the concerns, say, of the fishermen, and the oil industry goes in with a different spin on it, and somebody else, tourism people go in with another spin, then government, you can be easily dismissed by government. But if you go in with one united voice and bring a concern to government and say, well, we speak for all the users of the bay, then you've got a lot better chance of being listened to and something being done about it.
I think the benefits for the Placentia Bay Integrated Management Committee are that it enables us all to work together to identify the impacts of what we're doing on each other, whether we be a municipal group or whether we be a business advocacy group or a government agency. And with Placentia Bay being a good-sized bay with a fair amount of trade and commerce, I think it provides us a good opportunity going forward to improve our stewardship role in looking after those commercial interests and balance those with our environmental interests in terms of improving sustainable development of industries that are occurring in the bay.
As times change, the structure of the Integrated Management Plan team will change with it. New business will bring new challenges. Their hope is to maximize the benefits offered by the area for the majority of its citizens. For now, the people of Placentia Bay will continue to chart their course for the future. Their goal, to deal with the issues as they occur and find a solution that takes into consideration the concerns of the entire community. To build on the area's strengths and shore up its weaknesses as they shape a sustainable community.
The way things are going, I think it's going to be a very, very prosperous bay. It always has been from a fishing point of view. But I think now it's going to be much more diversified. So I think all in all the future of Placentia Bay looks pretty bright.
Because of the efforts of groups like the Integrated Management Committee, the future of Placentia Bay is certainly that much stronger in terms of communication. And I believe the value of having effective communication cannot be underestimated. All too often there's been discussion of the conflicts is the only time there's discussion. Then we moved to a point where it was conflict resolution and there was different things we could do to resolve the conflicts in the bay, whether it would be aquaculture, the oil industry, the fishing industry, the tourism industry, or whatever the case may be. I think more and more this process is moving us towards conflict avoidance, which I think is really where it's at. And if we can work together, because everybody that's involved in activities in Placentia Bay at whatever level have their own legitimate right and claim to be involved in those activities. And the only way that we're going to make it work is if we continue to work with each other, talk to each other, understand each other, and all work with the mandate in mind to protect and enhance Placentia Bay long term.